Okay, it's time to smack some disorder back into the world. But first, let's look over the map. This is a very big map. One of the biggest we've seen in the game outside of the later Part 3 chapters. And we have kind of a sea of yellow with all of these Disciples of Order, including a few flyers and quite a few generals as well. This is yet another route chapter, so yeah. You can see why many people don't like the early parts of Part 4. And by that I mean all of Part 4 except Endgame. Endgame's amazing, but the lead up to Endgame is definitely a bit of a dip in this game when it comes to gameplay. I wonder if I could somehow... yeah, I probably can't steal that. So anyway, let's just cycle through the enemies to see if we have anything useful that's droppable. Oh yeah, watch out for this guy right here. This guy is positioned right near the boss, and he can easily... in fact, I think Uwee can survive crossbow shots. I think Janeth can too, actually. But I know that Tiban can definitely survive crossbow shots, but even if... but he can't survive 3 crossbow shots, or sometimes even 2, so you will need to be a bit careful sometimes. Now, I know there is at least one... okay, there's another crossbow as well. I know there's at least one droppable item on this map. There's a coin there. Another coin there. And I know somebody... yeah, there it is. So someone has this thing called a panacea, which is a cure for any status conditions. You don't see these very often in this game or in any other Fire Emblem game. This might be one of the only panaceas that you can even get in this game. So, it's kind of weird. Oh, and yes, we finally get to brutally slaughter this guy. I'm sure many of you have been looking forward to this. He also has this. Yes, this guy is so evil and horrifying that he's managed to corrupt light magic to the point where it poisons anybody that it hits. This is also droppable, by the way, and it has a bizarre 17 uses. Thankfully, he does not count as a full 3rd tier, so he doesn't have Coroner. He is just a tier 2.5 Bishop. But his stats are pretty impressive for tier 2.5. Even then, though, we have a lot of characters who'll just make absolute short work of him, such as Tiban. So, let's go ahead and select our characters. Tiban and Delincia are both required, and they're both a game over if they die. But Rayson we obviously want. Ranulf is pretty strong in this file, so let's keep him. I kind of want Uwee, definitely want Kirin. Do not want Lyra and Keisha at all. Definitely want Nephany and Aaron. Maybe Nolan. As for who else to bring, Makalov could be utility. Khalil might be nice for weakening some enemies with her magic, but I'll need to be careful of her because she could very easily die. And there's HURRK here. If you've used him, he'll be a lot better. I kind of like to bring Lucia along only because, you know, we haven't got to use her for so long, even though she's going to be pretty terrible at this point in the game. I think... yeah... maybe I'll take Khalil, but I might not really be able to use her that much. Level 8 2nd tier is not good for this point in the game. Now I need to decide who goes where. So I either send Aaron one way and Nephany one way, or them both. I often like to have Tiban just fly wherever he needs to. Just using him, even though it's a bit of a waste of experience, using him to just clean up the map quickly. Perhaps I'll send Aaron down there, and maybe Toronio as well. I will need to keep some people back, because reinforcements spawn from this corner of the map eventually. And if this is a route chapter, and most of you have just progressed very far into the map by the time they spawn, then that is always annoying. I usually like to leave Janeth or Uwee back to deal with the reinforcements, but Lucia might be able to as well. I suppose, yeah, Nephany will head that way. Ranulf will stay back until he transforms. Kirin will just do whatever the heck he wants to. I think I'll send Nolan down there. Oh, hey, this is an Earth Affinity map. That's cool. And... Rayson will just do... he'll just go where he needs to. I think that's about right. Let's go ahead and save. And when we begin the chapter, something will happen in a few turns that I'm going to need to cover. And yes, we're back to this theme again. And we're also back to Unending Task, and this is the last time we'll ever hear Unending Task in the game. It only plays in 2 chapters, which is actually pretty sad because it's a nice song, but when I think about it, actually, Bearer of Hope only played in 2 chapters, and that was a great song. I'm trying to think why this theme is generally not considered as memorable as Bearer of Hope. And it's probably because the 2 chapters it plays in are pretty long, monotonous route chapters, whereas the 2 chapters Bearer of Hope plays in are both incredibly memorable and unique. So, that's probably why. But I will definitely take having Glorious Wings back. Glorious Wings is an amazing song. You can't really get very far, so I might be able to send Khalil in just, for the sake of having Khalil attack something, though probably gonna have Tiban finish this guy. You know what, let's just go ahead and have Tiban finish this guy. Because just like Nasala, Tiban has his own battle theme. This one is called King of the Sky, very aptly named. And just to show this, yes, Transform Tiban has 10 movement. I already showed that in his bio, but still. Tiban's kind of ridiculous in this game. Let's see if I can finish off any of you. I can't actually finish off any of you with the Gritlins. Yes, if I do bring Khalil down here, I will need to be very, very careful of her. Taronu can't actually go very far. Maybe I should have Taronu weaken an enemy for Aaron to finish. I always felt the snow effect and, like, the actual in-battle graphics of this chapter look kind of cheap. Which is kind of a shame, because I love the idea of snow-covered forests. They're always pretty cool whenever they show up in games or other settings. But this one's... I don't know, it's one of the few times I generally don't mind. Like, I really like the graphics of this game. When it came out, it got slammed for its graphics by reviewers, but I really like the graphics of Radiant Dawn. Definitely also like the fact that it runs at 60 FPS rather than... Well, I mean, Path of Radiance was actually 60 FPS as well. I probably should remember that. It's just that the way that I recorded it made it look like 30 because, yeah, weirdly I couldn't actually do, 60 FPS on Path of Radiance without the video quality looking like crap. And Elincia is still amazing, even though we've only got to use her in 2 chapters. This is only the 3rd chapter we've got to use her in. And this is about the point where, like, first-time players will start noticing Elincia's Mercy skill. I didn't realize that she had it all through Part 3. I thought that she first gained it at the beginning of this chapter, so I was fully prepared to explain Mercy in this chapter's base, but actually she has it much, much earlier, and you are able to take it off of her during during Part 3 endgame. But for first-time players, this is usually the point where you first notice Mercy, and you realize, Now, there is one slight practical reason why she has Mercy in this chapter. It only applies in the 2nd playthrough, and we'll be seeing what it does short... Yeah, that's terrible. Kieran's not even doubling. Yeah, the only reason I brought Kieran is for the special boss conversation, which is actually pretty funny. How the Mighty Have Fallen. Kieran used to be an extremely useful character. Not so much anymore. And Kieran did not have enough movement to Kanto. Nolan can't actually kill you anyway, so... I think I'll just use the... I guess I can use this just for the accuracy. I like the way this crossbow looks. In fact, I like crossbows in general. I wish crossbows would come back. They're an interesting idea. I feel like the way they handle effectiveness bonuses should have been different than how it actually is. I like to lock in the Flyers Rangers because they're the ones most likely to reach your more squishy characters, just like any Fire Emblem, obviously. It probably should have been like 2 times might or even 1.5 times might rather than triple might like it is for standard weapons, because that results in, and yeah, I'm going to keep some people back just for the sake of things. I could chant for Nolan or I could chant for Elincia. Nobody needs healing though, and sending Elincia out in the middle of all these enemies, because At this point in the game, Elincia is nowhere near as invincible as she was in Part 3. She is definitely capable of dying if you're not careful. Unfortunately, I have to break the tomahawk in order to kill this thing. In the base, just in some footage that I cut out, I was actually just messing around with the unit list, and I noticed that, it's probably a testament to how amazing Tarvos is that Nolan had the highest hits of anyone in the party, because you can sort people by their stats, and that was probably thanks to Tarvos. He also had one of the highest mights of anyone in the party, which is interesting for a, he's still only 2nd tier. Oh no, I thought we could get through this chapter without getting to hear you speak, but no. And yeah, by defy you, you mean say no to an offer that you really had no right making, because Crimea is completely independent from Bednion now. But we're finally going to deal with this guy. I thought that was Tear for a second, but no, it was just a regular critical. There is also a hidden treasure on this map. I believe it's an arm scroll. There was also a hidden arm scroll in 4.1. I forgot to mention that, unfortunately. I shouldn't have. Also, there's Pavis, which was pointless because you would have done no damage anyway. And yeah, Pavis, by the way, is still, I would have mentioned this in the bio, but I'll just say it again. It's still skill percent. I just find it hilarious. That means that Tiban... Because when I saw that, I was like, oh, surely it's not skill percent, because that means Tiban has a 48% chance of being immune to all damage, but nope, it's actually true. So, and first impale from Aaron. It looks the exact same as Nephine's version, so not really, much to talk about there. Hashtag Aaron for endgame, I guess. Yeah. You guys in the comments managed to meme that into actually being a thing. And this is the reason why I'm gonna have problems with this chapter. Yeah, pretty much every Royal and Fire Emblem games fight, so now it's Peleus' turn. And there's going to be a lot of annoying batches of 1 reinforcement warping in. This guy in particular, because he has Blizzard, which is effective against flyers, but it's not like Tiban really cares about that. But what we do care about right now is this is a 2nd playthrough exclusive thing. Peleus has actually joined us on the battlefield. And he has 1 less use of Fenrir because he used that against Jill, was it? I think it was Jill back in... I forgot about that. Actually, his uses do count when he's an enemy. Sadly. But yeah, this is Peleus. He's finally on our side now. Peleus is the first of 2 2nd playthrough exclusive characters. To recruit Peleus, it's pretty simple. All you have to do is choose not to kill him during 3.13. Peleus is unique among magic users in this game due to his class, Dark Sage. This, well, obviously lets him use dark magic, but also thunder. That comes at a cost of having access to none of the other elements though. However, Peleus is the only sage who can reach an S rank in Staves rather than A at 3rd tier. What this basically means is he's the only Arc Sage who can use Fortify. So I guess that's something he has over the others. Dark magic is mostly very inaccurate, and even with Weapon Triangle Advantage, it's not that good of a weapon type. And as for Peleus himself, well... all merits that he would normally have are overshadowed by the fact that he joins at mid-2nd tier this late into the game. So if you're going to be using him, you'll need to baby him a lot during this chapter. Thankfully 4-5 has a ton of experience to gain, so if you give him Paragon, he can actually level up very quickly there and definitely be up to par with the rest of your planned endgame team. As to whether training him is worth it, he does have the highest speed growth of all the mages, but he doesn't have the highest speed cap. I have no idea what went through the developers' minds when they created the magic classes in this game. Because this game hates mages, Peleus in the end will just end up being average. And I think I've seen someone mention before that you can sum up Peleus as a lot of effort just for someone who's mediocre in endgame. In short, he's not exactly the greatest reward for starting a second playthrough. But I am going to be using him in my run. The main reason being that Peleus is a very important character for the story, and some elements of the backstory can only be fully understood if you get a few optional boss conversations involving Peleus later on. And so in order to show those, I'm going to be training Peleus in this playthrough. Alright, I guess I should mention that he does start with Miracle, but Miracle's not a skill that you want to be relying on. It did lead to kind of a funny meme moment in one of Shadow of Chaos's videos though. So yeah, normally Peleus is not that useful. However, I'm going to be using him because I feel like it makes sense for plot reasons. And because of that, it's going to involve a lot of weakening enemies so Peleus can Fenrir snipe them from a safe distance. You know, I wonder if Fenrir is even going to kill you. 16 HP is quite a lot considering how kind of weak-ish Peleus is. Know that it's enough, it's just its accuracy is pretty bad, like dark magic tends to be. Yeah, I thought so. However, I can race on you and get you closer. Have to be really careful of Peleus here, obviously, because we just made sure to save his life, so don't want him to end up throwing it away. Especially against those Pegasus Knights, you need to watch out for them. I can't shove Aaron any... Or can I? Not really, because his armor's probably too heavy. Now, I need to be careful, because if Peleus misses this, then I actually need to have Kieran or Nolan kill the Swordmaster, otherwise Peleus will be ripped to pieces. Unless I get lucky with Miracle. But there we go. And yeah, the thing I was saying about Paragon, Peleus is the reason why I want Paragon in this party. I want an extra Paragon. I wish Peleus joined in the base though, because then you could actually give him Paragon. But no, he joins mid-chapter, which means no Paragon for you. You know, I guess I'll actually send Kieran this way, because that'll get him to the boss faster, so I can show off that conversation faster. Okay, these thickets are really annoying to move around in, but let's... Going up there will result in Tiban killing a whole ton of enemies, so I might actually send Tiban down here, just to get closer to the annoying Blizzard guy. There's Tear! Blizzard's rarely a threat in this chapter, but it's just annoying to have to sit through him using it every turn. Oh hey, you're worth 2 experience instead of 1. That's impressive by Tiban standards. Oh yeah, by the way, Tiban is your leader for this, not Alincia, so he gets to use orders. That also means this is one of the few times in the game that we get to benefit from 4-star authority. This is the highest authority bonus that we ever get. There is a playable character with 5-star authority in this game, but he's never your army's commander, so it's completely useless. Sad but true. Yeah, the authority star mechanic it's good in theory, but in practice, it could have been implemented better. I still don't get why Micaiah never gains authority stars, even when she becomes the supreme commander of Dane's armies. Surely that would give her authority stars, but no. Like in Fire Emblem 5, they actually boosted Leaf's authority stars at certain points in the story. Except he was weird because his authority star boost didn't come from him himself, but actually his advisors. And there was a point in the game where he permanently lost an authority star. If I ever get around to playing Thrakia, which I might... You know, I was freaking out for a second, thinking, oh no, an archer's approaching a flyer, and then I realized that flyer is Tiban, and thus I don't need to worry at all, because, yeah. I think it's actually it's a different world whose death quote is practically like a lampshade hanging of how the heck did you, the player, let this happen? But I think even Tiban's death quote is something along the lines of how the heck did I just die? Because for the most part, they're not going to die unless you're intentionally trying to get them killed. That better not be a hammer. No good. You know, let me just ask something to people in the comments. What do you think about the dodging animations for armored classes being blocking with their shields? I think it's kind of cool, personally, though it doesn't really make sense for that to be based on... I guess speed is like reaction time in throwing up the shields, I suppose. And it doesn't make sense for Armor Knights to have really elaborate dodge animations. Okay, that's what I wanted you to do. Anyway, I want to get back to my turn so I can get back to some awkward Peleus grinding. Yeah, Peleus grinding is a lot easier to do in the next Team Elincia map. And if anything, it's kind of what the next Team Elincia map is there for, even though Peleus is not available in a first playthrough. But yeah, Peleus, I fully admit, objectively speaking, is probably not worth training, but he's very important for the story. He has a lot of important boss conversations later, and he is one of the only dark magic users in the game, the other one joining much, much, much later, and probably won't even be able to use any dark magic at all for various reasons. I was, yeah, hoping to lure you in as well, because it's always annoying when cavalry are kept alive for too long, especially in the Telius games, when we're just Kanto all the time. Although, they did that in FE4 as well, and it got really irritating. I'm pretty sure they had Kanto. I mean, it wasn't called Kanto back then, but I'm pretty sure they had it in Thracia as well, and it was just as annoying in that game. And Aaron's actually doubling you. Though, yeah, what I said about enemy Pegasus Knights, they usually tend to have horrible speed. I'm not sure why they do that, but maybe they thought they'd just be too strong if they gave them decent speed. I feel like Peleus should be getting experience at a much faster rate than he is. Because if a third tier like Aaron is getting this much with Paragon, a second tier should be getting a lot more. I mean, if Peleus did have Paragon at this point, he'd be getting a level up from every battle, just like Micaiah was earlier, but... And Aaron's already caught up to Nephany, so Nephany had better step it up. There is a big cluster of Swordmasters up, and they're going for Tiban for some reason. Oh great, now everything's going for Tiban. Well, it makes things a little simpler for where I should put Nephany. Let me see, I'm sure... Is there a crossbow in there? I know there's an actual bow, but... Let's just get rid of you first. I just realized Peleus having hit rates that bad with 4-star authority is really sad. And I guess you'll Kanto back up. Don't want a lot of enemies suiciding into him though. Maybe you should actually just head... I think I'll have you head around there to try and lure the Wyvern Lords in. Rayson... If he goes... Yeah, the Wyvern Lord will be able to reach Rayson if he goes there, which is not good, although I could shove him backwards. No, let's not use the spear, because those things are very valuable. It's funny that a weapon that's just called spear, or in the Japanese slender spear, which isn't that much better, is one of the rarest and most valuable lances in the game. Let's see if... That's alright, but yeah, I really don't want to get into an Elincia versus Archer situation. And Amity is still as amazing as always. Infinite use of Brave Weapon that also buffs your defenses and has an insane amount of attack power. think I'll send you back a little bit. So, okay, if I do the or I can just have, I can probably have Kieran rescue and then have Khalil grab Rayson and drop him. That's probably what I'll end up doing. That Wyvern Rider is who I'm the most worried about. I mean, I could attempt to spear him with Nefany. You know what, I'm going to do that. If she crits, then I don't need to worry about Rayson at all. She probably won't, but we'll see. And we can't get Impale at this range, but it's at least worth a shot. Nope. The yellow Wyverns actually look kind of cool, though. So, yeah, Rayson is in range of that, unfortunately. And anyone who goes in front of Rayson is going to get attacked. But, hang on a second. If I shove Rayson one down, without going into this range, then Rayson still gets attacked by the Wyvern Rider. Okay, so I do have to do this. He should be safe there. Okay, now on the next episode of Peleus, Peleus doesn't quite kill something. Oh, and he has 1-star authority, which is useless because he's not a leader. I guess we can... I've got a better hit rate with that, so I might as well do that. And here I'm actually glad for Taronu not being 3rd tier, because it means that he can't activate a mastery skill and kill this thing. It's actually only fitting that Taronu be the one who helps weaken enemies for Peleus to finish off, because he was pretty much Peleus' loyal retainer for most of the game. Let's just get rid of this thing. After this battle is over, I'll show where the arm scroll is. 4 Prologue also was a chapter that had a hidden treasure that was removed from the English version. It had a Master Crown, which they got rid of. But I think, yeah, that little jutting out part of this forest down there, that's where the arm scroll is. It's an arm scroll I don't usually end up finding. Let's just use the silver here. Once again, Nefany needs to step it up, because Aaron is leveling up very quickly. Speaking of which... well, that level up wasn't great, so that sort of balances it out. Okay, I just realized if Peleus misses, I could be in trouble. However, he doesn't get doubled. Yeah, usually it's best just go for whatever has the best hit rate with Peleus. Unless the other tome gives it a little bit more damage and actually kills something. Still not a level up. Peleus' in-battle model, I think, looks one of the best of the mages, though. Like, the face doesn't look too very obviously fake. But the good news is Peleus will be capping some stats quickly, and that means I can just afford to stop training him and just spam bonus experience on him. But yeah, all of the Dark Tomes in this game have biblical name origins, except for the lowest of one, Worm, which comes from an NFE1 spell, and Fenrir, which obviously comes from Norse mythology. And the interesting thing about Fenrir is people who, like, at the time this game came out, in fact, probably still now, because the game that first debuted the Fenrir spell in Fire Emblem is still Japan only, it's Genealogy. But at the time this game first came out, Fire Emblem fans had previously seen the Fenrir spell as an A-ranked, extremely powerful but very inaccurate dark magic tome from the GBA game. So they get to this one and it's like, wait a minute, why is Fenrir a long-range tome now? And that's actually because in Genealogy, and Thracia, I think, but I think Fenrir was still in Thracia. I know there was a poisoning version of Fenrir in Thracia. That's kind of interesting. Tiban's a lot weaker to magic than Sala is, I'll need to keep that in mind. But I'm pretty sure it was in Thracia. The Fenrir spell was a long-range tome, so that's actually referencing its role there. And in fact, the Fenrir from the GBA games, just as a bit of trivia about the series' history, was not actually called Fenrir in the Japanese version. It was in fact called Nosferatu. And that's where things get really confusing, because the English versions of the, well, not the Elif games, the Elif game singular, because they didn't localize the other Elif game, but in the English versions of FE7, they decided to change Nosferatu to be the name of the HP Draining Tome, because that made sense at the time, you know, draining vampires. And then the spell came back as a light tome in this game, well, in Path of Radiance, and they were like, yeah, whoops. They probably have the same reaction that the Pokemon localizers did when they called a Pokemon Mr. Mime, and then the next generation introduced genders, and they were like, oh, dang it. I think, like, was it Nob, like, one of the head translators of Red and Blue, specifically did say, if they introduce genders in the next game, we're screwed, and they did. But anyway, so yeah, a case of a weird name-switching mix-up, kind of like the same thing that happened with Alondite and Etard. What was Etard in the Japanese version is Alondite, and what was Alondite in the Japanese version is Etard. And the same thing happened for Leo and Leon. The Leo in Fates was Leon in Japan, and the Leon in Echoes was Leo in Japan. Please don't double Nolan. Good. Because I want you for Peleus as well. The slow process of feeding kills to an underlevel character who joined late in the game. Okay, Ranulf should... That's actually terrible. Good thing that missed. The good news is, since you're a cat, this will be a massive boost to your transform gauge. It is kind of interesting that Lagoos in this game gain a lot of transform meter from getting attacked, so you do have that risk versus reward thing of they take a ton of damage and they get doubled by almost everything when they're untransformed, but it helps them transform fast, so you can intentionally expose them to attacks if you think they can survive them just to get their transform gauge up. Yeah, Tiban's always useful in this chapter for thinning out the enemies faster. This is... yeah, I might run out of things to talk about in this chapter. It's another one of those long route maps that just get kind of annoying and then they drag on. This is why I said that the kind of gameplay goes a little bit downhill in Part 4. No reinforcements that turn. And Nefne's going to regain a ton with Imbue. And yeah, Auto Cursor goes to Tiban because he's actually your leader for this part, but I still consider it Alincia's party. I don't like the fact that he stole her thunder. And yeah, I have to use that. I did actually look up what the origins of these tomes were. I should probably do that again, just so I have something to talk about. And finally, that's a level up for you. Not bad, but you do have the best speed growth of all the mages, so you not getting speed on your first level up is not a good sign. At least you are going to cap your stats pretty quickly, so I can just stop training in here and just use bonus experience. Maybe actually, no, there's going to be some reinforcements from down here soon, so I probably don't want to leave the enemies here alive. I probably just want to have Aaron charge in all lances blazing. Nolan could use some healing, but Alincia's all the way up there. Well, I suppose if you're the only thing that Ranulf can attack this turn. Come on, Tear! Or Rend. Yeah, it's Rend. No Rend, even though you have cap skill, I'm pretty sure. Wait, no, Rend is speed percent, I think. Yeah, so you have having cap skills actually not that useful. Just realized that. A lot of the generals here are of the variety that just stay in one spot and don't move, kind of like acting as choke points for you. Just the way that you use your generals when you have them, so that kind of makes sense. Quite reach, and you're probably not gonna... No, you're not gonna do very much. I think I'm actually gonna send Alicia up there. And get rid of this archer. Wait a minute, I only double you, I don't quadruple you. That was actually badly calculated. I should have paid more attention to that, because I'm just used to Alicia one round killing everything, but this is the first point in the game where that's not true. Why did I kill... Why did I attack the mage and not the sniper? The sniper has a far greater chance of potentially killing Alicia. Well, that's not good. However, I might be able to... We'll see. I may be able to... to get Ranulf in there? I might actually be able to get Ranulf in there, but I need to find some way to get rid of... I could have Fenrir sniped the Wyvern Lord. Is there some kind of crazy shove chain I can do to get you to Peleus so I can try and Fenrir snipe the Wyvern Lord? Shove down there, and then Nolan will not be able to get behind Racing. Okay, that's not good at all. Wait, no, you're okay, your con's 8, and then you're 7. That's not enough to shove, I'm pretty sure. However, Uwee could shove, probably. Especially if he half shifts. So if I have Kieran go somewhere, like here, maybe, and just do that. If I shove Khalil one space, she can destroy this Wyvern Lord, hopefully, and then I can race him. That doesn't matter, because Khalil can just use Thunder. Huh. It's weird that Kieran can't counter it there. Maybe it's because this area is like movement cost 2, so he can't move one more space, but... Anyway, let me just check something. Oh, you can shove. I guess I'll do that then. Wow, seriously? Triple might effectiveness bonus, and you're only doing 20 damage. That's why Wyvern Riders are broken in Radiant Dawn, because their weakness doesn't matter. Because they just happen to be weak to the worst weapon type in the... Well, one of the... cat claws are probably worse, but... Oh, that's just not enough movement to get that guy, though. I suppose I can try, though. Didn't mean to press converse. Anyway. Yeah, I can't quite get in there. I wonder if I revert Ranulf, if that makes Ranulf a more tempting target for the archer. That's actually an interesting consideration. I mean, you could just critical, because you do have a massive crit bonus thanks to... Although your luck stays the same, so... 33 attack versus your defensive 13, do 20 damage times. I mean, he's probably still gonna go for Alicia. But it's not a bad idea. It's really stupid, but... Although, does it drop your meter all the way to 0? I guess I'll find out. Okay, stupid strategy. Normally, you never revert manually, but no, it doesn't actually drop you all the way to 0. That's interesting. So, you normally never revert manually, but this could potentially lead to something. But I kind of doubt it. It'd be funny if they actually took the bait. So I guess it's experiment time. And Uwee's going to stay back there, because trust me, there are going to be reinforcements coming from up there. Okay, you get healed. That's not a good sign. He took the bait! Wow! I didn't expect that to actually work. Now I just need to not get 2% criticals. That was funny. I forgot I gave you Quick Claw, but it was pretty useless. That was... Okay, I'm kind of impressed that actually worked. I mean, I had this slight feeling that it wouldn't have killed Alencia anyway, but that was cool. I like that I managed to discover that. Like, I actually found a use for manually reverting. I think the only, like, people... I'm flabbergasted by the fact that that strategy actually worked, but, usually manually reverting doesn't, like, is not useful unless you're half-shifted and you want to actually wait for a full shift. But, like, the only time I've ever seen people actually manually revert is on Lagoo's Royals, just to, kill things untransformed for rolls. It's always fun to see, Royal Lagoos kill things untransformed. And that's why I left Uwee there. If Valencia had a Wind Edge, I could test how much damage you'd be doing. Let me just check. Oh, that's only 10 might, though, so triple that, 30. Basically adding 20 to that, so 53 attack power. 53 minus 22 is... That's 31, which would not have killed Valencia anyway, so I didn't actually need to do that, but it was actually pretty fun to try that. And now what I can do is have Alencia heal and then have Race enchant for her. Okay, yeah, thankfully you are at max, so... Although, sometimes I like to bring that guy down to the point where Peleus can snipe him with Fenrir. So let's just see if you're not one-rounding, so maybe Peleus could try a Fenrir snipe. As I said before, Janeth and Uwee are still very, very strong at this point in the game. Huge upgrade over how they were in Path of Radiance. Okay, what's the bare minimum distance I can move and still get you in Fenrir? That, evidently. Yeah, I am running out of Fenrir, but I believe you get given one in a base conversation later. So I'm not too concerned with running my uses of Fenrir down. Obviously, I'm going to go for the one who can't counterattack. I'm going to go for the one who will not get counterattack on the enemy phase. Always a good trick during route chapters to maximize enemy deaths on the enemy phase. Because, yeah, most people talk about Fire Emblems being, like, the games being, like, enemy phase focused or something, and when I first saw that, I was like, okay, which game in the series is not enemy phase focused? It feels like almost all of them are. I think the answer was, like, maybe Fates to an extent, but actually maybe not. Yeah. Okay, if I can somehow shove you... This is actually kind of dumb, but I'm going to do this and then have Ranulph shove Neffany, mainly just so that I can have Neffany fight more things. I still can't believe that reverting Ranulph's strategy actually worked. I wouldn't exactly call it a strategy, more like a completely crazy idea that just hit me on a whim, but it actually did do something. So yeah, the enemy does seem to prioritize untransformed Lagoos over potential effectiveness bonuses, which might be a good thing to know. That reminds me of, I mean, I forget if I talked about this before, also lol disarm. If I had a thief in this party, I could have, well, I could have stolen that if you weren't, you know, just outright dead right now. But, yeah, I'm sure I mentioned, maybe I didn't mention this earlier, the whole thing in the speedrun with, I think it was 1-3? Yeah, the one with Aaron and Laura. That chapter. And basically there's a soldier who spawns right next to Laura, and to quote the speedrunner directly, the soldier can one-shot Laura, but because she can technically counterattack with her staff, he prioritizes attacking an NPC who can't counter. That's... yeah. So, sometimes Fire Emblem AI is so crazy about prioritizing no counters that it will, prioritize attacking people who, like, if it has someone who it can one-shot, it will avoid them if it thinks they can counterattack. Which is pretty silly, but also hilarious. In a similar vein to the Advance Wars AI in the first game having a bizarre hatred of transport vehicles. I mean, I get the logic behind why they prioritize transports, because if you kill a loaded transport, you kill 2 units with 1 action, but it's still kind of funny that they don't seem to recognize whether a transport is empty or not, and they're just like, transport must kill transport. I'm surprised that whoever was testing the game missed that quirk of the AI. Although, ironically, it's probably the only reason hard campaigns are even beatable. So. It's funny, they always say that, like, Advance Wars 1 is by far the hardest game in the series, especially on hard mode, but it's also the game with the most predictable AI. Whereas the later games are usually a lot easier, but they're harder to write walkthroughs for, ironically, because the AI is much less predictable. Like, for the most part, Advance Wars 1 AI can be relied on to always react to your moves in the exact same way, but that's not true at all of AI starting with Advance Wars 2 and on. Is that cap magic? I think maybe you cap at 20, but I could be wrong. And there's that Panacea. I knew there was another one coming. So, another snipe for Peleus. No, you cap at 20. Looks like Aaron capped at 20 as well. So, yet another kill to feed to Peleus. This is why the majority of people don't really bother training him, because I would have said this in his bio, but I feel like one quote that sums him up is like, it's a lot of effort only for someone who's mediocre in endgame. But Peleus is still an important enough character in the story that I want to use him for this playthrough. Okay, good, you actually did get magic that time. And you've now... actually did get speed that time, which is good, but, yeah, now you're almost starting to hit those awful camps. Which is a good thing, because that means that I can just bonus experience you. Okay, both of them are getting pretty evenly leveled. I think there are reinforcements from down there, eventually. I probably need to pick up the pace a little bit, because already quite far into the video, we haven't really advanced that far into the map. I'm actually going to be leaving these two here, and there's a very good reason for that. Reinforcements from down there. I'm pretty sure they're all cavalry, too. Okay, I think now it's time that we broke in there, but we do need to be very, very careful of that crossbow, because Elincia does not like crossbows. One of the few things that can actually kill her. Another thing that she can't double. One of the few things that can actually kill her, even during part 2. You can't double a general? Oh yeah, well, generals in this game have pretty high speed stats, but... Elincia, you need more speed. You need a lot more speed. I'm really surprised you can't double a general. I'm also surprised you can't one round with a Silver Great Lance. But you are a sword... Even with Weapon Triangle advantage, you can't one round with a Silver Great Lance, so I guess I'm just going to go for the Killer Lance and hope for a crit. Maybe on the lower part, though. Just because I'll actually be able to use Aaron and Nethany side by side. While I don't really have a lot to talk about, I can just mention how... Yeah, Aaron is one of those cases where he has decent potential, but how good he is really depends on what difficulty you're playing, because his base stats are horrendously bad by hard mode standards. He just can't do anything to the enemies in his joining chapter at all, and... Yeah, it's kind of sad. On normal, aka Japanese hard, he's at least usable. And once he gets up to this point, he's pretty good. And then on easy or Japanese normal, he's actually pretty decent. But on that mode, Leonardo's also... Because yeah, it's interesting that Leonardo actually doubles the enemies in... That's annoying. Just realized that. Leonardo actually doubles the enemies in... Just being there is enough to choke point that whole area, that's interesting. Leonardo actually doubles the enemies in one prologue on easy mode. Which makes me think that base stats might have been balanced with easy mode in mind. They might not have even taken into account the higher difficulties. That explains the sheer number of characters who are completely useless on hard mode. That's why they raise the base stats of characters in the hard mode in some other Fire Emblem games. Just realized I might actually need to finish off that sniper with Kirin via Racing if I don't successfully... Actually, yeah, there's no way Elincia can kill that. Because she's not going to be able to critical. Hence why I've given her Paragon. She needs a little bit of a boost in order to be able to do well at this point in the game. At least she can Canto. Now, if I do this, I need to make absolutely sure that Kirin hits the sniper, otherwise Racing is in really big trouble. But it's a 100% hit rate, that's fine. Interesting the amount of use I'm getting out of second-tier characters in this map. Again, the multi-party structure of this game means you end up using a lot of people that you wouldn't otherwise. That was weird. You know, I'll send you up there because this area is totally choke pointed, just in case these generals decide to move. I'm pretty sure they don't move, but we'll see. And I think there are also going to be more Wyvern Lords from up there soon, too. Thankfully, there don't appear to be any status stars in this chapter. But that's just lulling you into a false sense of security before the next one, which, the next one is an extremely irritating map for status stars. You had exactly enough damage to two-shot this thing. Yeah, that's one of the problems about... I feel like they made Lagoo's experience gain rates much lower than they should be. It's part of the reason why they're still not that amazing. And the only ones who are good because their base stats are ridiculous. But I mean, I personally think that Lagoo's were handled even worse in Path of Radiance. In Path of Radiant... Okay, I freaked out for a second, then I realized, oh wait, it's Tiban. Of course he's going to be fine. But when you think about it, like, at least to me personally, the only Laguz in Path of Radiance who I found, like, even remotely useful was Leth. And she drops off towards the end of the game, but she was one of the few... And the thing is, part of the reason why Leth was one of the few in Path of Radiance that were any good is because she automatically transforms on turn 1. Which gets around one of the major problems with the Laguz system. Mordecai was usually only useful for smiting, same with Maureen for the most part. Janeth and Ulki were useless the moment they joined. Ranulf is alright, but he comes so late into the game that most people usually don't end up using him that much. And, well, I mean, Raisin's amazing, but he doesn't need to transform... Well, he does need to transform to be useful, but, like, he's a dancer, they're always amazing. And that's why I left those two back there. And then Nasir and Ina were both really, really late joining. And Ina was terrible, even by late game standards, and Nasir was... A lot of people don't like Nasir in Path of Radiance, but I still think he's really good against Ashnod. Well, with the right combination of skills, and he's at least way better than Ina is. In Radiant Dawn, I actually like the stat doubling of the Laguz, mainly because, I've said this before, but it's much easier to follow than the transform bonuses in Path of Radiance, because there it was just like, you had to memorize a set of essentially promotion gains, and they were different for every single Laguz class. It was a little bit too much to fully, yeah, it got a bit complicated to follow, and in this game it's really easy to tell Laguz stats, you just double all their stats that aren't HP and luck. So you can kind of see at a glance, if you've got like an enemy Laguz that's about to transform, you can kind of tell at a glance what their stats are going to be like when they do transform. And I feel like there are probably more... I mean, there are some really bad Laguz in this game, like, you know, the cat that we do not speak of. And I don't like the way they handled the transform gauges in that now different Laguz have their transform gauges deplete ludicrously fast, like, especially cats. Cats are extremely bad in this game. Okay, I don't like that 8% crit rate. Let's just avoid that for now. And if I do this, Ranulf is getting attacked by Valtome. You don't have a weapon though. I sort of want that crossbow guy gone, just so I don't need to worry about sending Elincia in here. Or Ranulf could just get rend. That would really help. No rend. And no rend again. Okay, yeah, he should be fine. Because him getting doubled by Valtome, dying to Valtome would be the worst way to die possible. Well, no, not the worst way to die possible, one of them. It's not quite as bad as dying to the spike traps in the last side quest chapter in FE6, or dying to Devil Axe backfire against the wall or something, but as far as, like, named bosses that you can die to, Valtome is probably one of the most embarrassing. Actually, though, one of the advantages of Raisin being built like a twig is that you can just... almost anyone can shove him, and that goes for pretty much all the Herons. I could... Can Elincia move far enough to take out that Swordmaster? Because if he does, then Ranulf only gets attacked by Valtome, because the enemies surrounding Valtome, they don't move. And yes, you can do that, so... And you do exactly enough damage. Nice. And because this is a brave weapon, I don't get countered. So that's good. I'm definitely not regretting giving Elincia Paragon. Okay, extra speed's nice because you were having trouble doubling things. The annoying thing about Elincia's class is that she can't reach an SS rank in Starves, even though she's... I wouldn't say arguably, I would say definitely the best healer in the game. So that's, like, she's the one that you probably want the SS staff on, but she can't get an SS and stuff. Instead, she can SS swords, but she's definitely not much of a fighter, so you probably... And I mean, who needs the SS sword when you have, something as good as Amity? Let me check how much... Fenrir still does 20. Nolan probably doubles you, though he doesn't actually kill you. Might as well do this. I just need to make sure Peleus doesn't die. Because if they reach Peleus, he's probably going to go squish. 20 hit rate with a sword against an axe user. That probably says more about how amazing Nolan is than how bad that guy is. I can probably get to a safe distance to snipe them. Let's just do that. Again, I'm not too concerned about breaking Fenrir because we get another one relatively soon. And at this point, I kind of just want to... I mean, he's probably going to go for Null. Does the enemy even pay attention to bonuses when it comes to who they choose to target? I don't know, but in fact, Nolan would not actually run around that guy even if he attacked him, so maybe I'll wait. And in fact, I'm going to actually send you two down, and this is for a weird reason. In case Peleus can't reach that paladin next turn, I'll use those two to shove him. So yes, like I said, weird reason. Very weird reason. And you attack Tibon. Unfortunately, I think Zelgius is kind of Ike's prey at this point. Valtomi doesn't even get a unique battle model. He does have a unique animation on his spell, though. And that actually does a lot of damage to Tibon, and that's also poison. But not that it really matters because this chapter's going to be over very soon. I was kind of hoping that you'd do that. Has Tyronyu even taken damage this entire chapter? I think he might have taken a little bit of damage. Put it that way. Oh, I thought that would happen. And I thought that would happen. Okay, so this is not quite the end of this chapter. And I need to drag things out with Voltome a little bit more because Rayson actually has special boss dialogue with him. One of those is a Storm Sword. Right. Okay. Okay, can't have Ranulf untransformed. That would be really bad. I'm actually going to battle save here just in case I kill Voltome too early and I can't shoot the special boss conversations. He doesn't have a lot, but he has one with Kirin that's actually pretty funny. Yeah, okay, good thing I battle save because Kirin is going to die if I do that. That's not going to work. I probably have to use Tibon here. Tibon's battle theme is okay. It's probably my least favorite of the Laguz Royal battle themes, and I find it the least memorable personally, but it doesn't even like incorporate a lot of elements of his like out-of-battle theme. Especially doesn't even feature that totally not ripped off from Pirates of the Caribbean segment, which I still can't believe they got away with that. Okay, might as well have Nefany do that. Seeing as Valtome won't die even if he attacks her. Still really creepy just how yellowish-green their skin is. But there is a reason for that, as I keep saying, that we'll find out later. I think Elincia is going to go ahead and whack you and then fly back into range of Valtome because Valtome will prioritize not being counterattacked, hopefully. Meaning that if Elincia is in 2 range of him, he's not going to go for Nefany. that was nice, actually. Strength is good. And back there. Valencia is doing pretty well now. And this is why I wanted people to shove, because I can do this. And that actually puts you in range, except you probably want 1 damage off again, except, see, here's the benefit of, once again, Toronyu not being 3rd tier. If Toronyu was 3rd tier, he'd probably just wreck all of these guys. And yeah, like, again, it's only fitting that Toronyu was the one to help train Peleus. Okay, now I will Peleus you, hopefully. I think I'll go there, because I might need, in case you miss, I might need to have Nolan finish, even though... I mean, Peleus is probably not going to miss, though I really shouldn't say that. A lot of the dark magic animations look pretty cool in this one, although what Fire Emblem game is there where dark magic animations don't look cool? That's 3 total. Did not cap speed yet, though. But you have cap skill, and I think at this point I can safely use bonus experience on you, so yeah, I think for now I'm gonna hold off on getting Peleus any more levels. Watch your transform gauge, it's fine. Though it's at this point that I would kind of be wishing that Uwee had Tear, because then I could potentially have ended this chapter this turn. And it's really sad when you have a killing edge and you still have a 0 crit rate, but that's because of Uwee's special skill, which gives him plus 20 critical avoid, as well as plus 20 avoid. Definitely way better than Janeth's skill. Because they're like, okay, yeah, we will buff Janeth's skill because it was useless before, let's make it so that it gives increased vision range in Fog of War, except there's only 1 Fog of War chapter left in the game. I need to sell my torch, I've got to sell the torch. Yeah, I'll show Kirin's special boss dialogue later. Ranulph's boss dialogue with Valtome is amazing as well. Now, this is the problem with Aaron, is that he is a bit slower than Nephany, so he doesn't double things sometimes. But he hits a lot harder. Not put you anywhere close to Valtome, because that will show really badly. I'm going to have to keep that off close. I really want to show that boss conversation. It's another one of my favorite boss conversations in the game, but... Oh, and we're going to see it now! Ranulph was amazing. Just like Ike, like there are several Masters of Snark and Tellius. Ike's probably number 1. It's hard to tell whether Soren or Ranulph is number 2. I'd probably say Ranulph is actually the second. Then Soren, and then I'd probably put Micaiah at number 4. And then Volug is probably 5, even though you wouldn't know unless you can translate his lines. I really hope another giant batch of reinforcements doesn't end up spawning, but it probably will. I don't have the exact reinforcements for this chapter memorized, but I do have it, like, I've played this chapter enough times to the point where I know vaguely where they are. I knew there was another batch of 3 that came from here. I knew there was some cavalry that came from down, like, the bottom right-hand corner of the map. And I think there's a second batch of cavalry that comes from there, too. Oh, look, it's a Wormslayer, except I don't have any Wyvern Riders in this party, so that's useless. I wonder if that's enough speed to double these guys now. Oh, okay. Well, that saves me the trouble of having to press A twice with Uwee next turn. I actually really like how Uwee looks in battle. I haven't really noticed this before, but he looks kind of more like a... I know nothing about Hawk, so if I say red-tailed Hawk, that wouldn't be... He does look kind of like that. That's a reddish-brown colour. Also that the stock Hawk sound is... And no reinforcements, good. The stock hawk sound is actually not like what that particular kind of hawk really sounds like. Anyway, yes, okay, so I think we're ready to end this chapter. If I can get Racing into range of the boss, so I'm going to actually go ahead and battle save and just show off some extra boss conversations. So I haven't shown Elincia's, I have shown Tiban's. I guess I can try and show his generic one with, like, Nethany, maybe. But Kieran's is pretty special. And now I have to restart because Kieran's going to die here. But that was worth it just to show off that. I have to move Elincia in order to show Raisins. I guess I'm going to have to restart this again. Because Raisin does have a special boss quote too. Bold statement, except you're not doing any damage because magic cards are terrible. The Herons actually have a lot of special boss dialogue going forward, which makes sense seeing as we're fighting the Senators. And most of them, it's a lot easier to get them by using magic cards. I think I'm actually just gonna do this just to show off Voltome's generic quote, and then I'll be showing Elincia's. Yeah, you keep telling yourself that. And if only you knew the truth about Zelpius, you'd probably be a lot less inclined to insult him. I mean, again, granted, he almost snapped your neck earlier in the game, so you probably shouldn't be insulting him here anyway. Actually, dodging that looks pretty cool. He is using up a lot of uses of that tone that we will be getting after beating him. Nethany and Aaron are definitely diverging in their respective stat builds. Nethany is getting more speed, and Aaron is kind of, yeah, he's got a lot more strength. But with that, let me just see. There's only 3 left. And I guess I probably have to take on one of them. Can't quite get Aaron to get both of them. Let's just do this to guarantee this one goes down. Then it's this chapter over. Yeah, all 3 of these first few Part 4 chapters have taken around an hour, 10 minutes, so... Yeah, long videos, but these route chapters do tend to go on for a while. I'll explain my thoughts on this chapter's abundance of route chapters, I think maybe in the next one. Or maybe even in 4-4, because that's going to be the last of them. I mean, there's one more route chapter after that, but that one's not quite as annoying. I know why they gave you a lot of route chapters at this point in the game. You know what, technically speaking, I'll get a little bit more out of Elincia if I do this. And then I'll get a little bit of experience for racing as well. Actually, now do you do damage with the Spectre card? No. It'd be amazing if I could actually have Racing finish off this guy, but... Seems like only Jared will have the honor of being defeated by a Heron in this playthrough. And I think... Oh, I could have tried to get the... You know... Actually, no. You don't have enough movement to get the treasure. Maybe it's not... Although Nolan... 14... Wait, no, you can't shove. Maybe it's not too late for Peleus to try for the treasure. Okay, I only have one shot at this. I'm probably not going to get it, but I can try. No. Okay. But yeah, there is an arm scroll there. And now the final boss conversation, and... the final enemy of this chapter. Specifically the left boot. I always find it funny how he had to specify which boot. And also, yeah, he's not in the position to be demanding that we surrender, considering he is the only one left on his side. And that ended predictably. That almost looked like it was going to be a perfect level up, but it was still pretty good. And, yeah, we got his corrupted light magic that, we're probably not going to be able to use for a while. The map theme is still playing here. Interesting. And yeah, this dialogue only plays with Peleus was recruited, so this is second playthrough exclusive. It makes sense Peleus will be like this, because this is sort of his first real battle. He fought a little bit in 3 final, but he was very far away from the lines then. And speaking of his mother, we're about to find out even more about her. Another piece of the puzzle here. Wait a minute though, isn't Almeida a dragon? She should be able to handle herself if she gets attacked, right? Peleus means an awful lot to Almeida. He's pretty much the only reason she's still sane. We're about to finally find out just why Almeida's life has been so horrible. So yeah, talking to his wife must be pretty awkward. Or sort of mistress. This is an interesting conversation. I like that Elincia finally gets to talk to someone who was so close to the one who murdered her parents. Yeah, it's pretty understandable that any relationship involving Ashnard would not work out in the end. So, no other potential children. That's, important to know. This is part of why I feel so bad for Almeida. I mean, it's understandable, but considering how awful Ashnard is, but yeah, this is... After all this time, she's gone through a lot, and that was only part of it. Because we found out in the previous chapter that when Ashnard's son was born, he was used to lure in Almeida's brother and warp him and basically turn him into a mindless beast. So this entire scene is obviously very different in the variation where Peleus died in Part 3. That makes Almeida's life even more depressing if that happens. Just... Almeida I still find one of the most tragic characters in this entire game. Just what she had to go through. Like, it's so essentially what happened is, Ashnard only had a child with her because, again, being the brutal social Darwinist that he is, he was like, oh, the child of a dragon will be massively powerful, and then when he found out the child was essentially not that much different to any ordinary Beorc, he instantly cast them aside, and cast his wife aside as well. So, yeah, Almeida's life sucks, to put it bluntly. Next time, we'll be hopping back to Team Micaiah for the obligatory desert chapter. See you then.